Good morning, everyone. It's Lynn Dunn from Stamtastic Designs. So thanks so much for joining me today. So I have some little quick and simple card ideas to share with you that feature the September paper pumpkin kit, which is called Harvest Haunts. So this particular paper pumpkin kit actually was a project kit. So I'm going to bring it out here. So you had these adorable little treat containers that you could make. You could put the little faces on it for Halloween, or you could just make, little pumpkins or apples with this particular kit. So my granddaughter and I put together the kit. So I don't have the little pumpkins to show you because she took them all. But what I do have to show you are some card ideas that I put together featuring the exclusive stamp set. So good morning, everybody. So I am going to find a piece of paper so I can show you this here. So these are the images from the exclusive stamp set that came in the September paper pumpkin kit. So there's a variety of different greetings. And then there's some little leaf images and a little splotch image that I used to create these cards. So I'm going to show you how to make some of these cards. And even if you don't have the kit or you didn't get in on the kit, you can still use these card ideas with other supplies that you might have on hand. So just kind of keep that in mind. Good morning, everybody. So I went with the fall theme here. So the leaf image in the kit actually was used to create the little leaves that went on the pumpkins. So it was perfect for creating just some fall themed cards. So let me show you. I have a couple different techniques too that I'll show you. So I'm going to start with these little monochromatic ones. Let's start with this one. So for all of the cards, I used the Stitched with Whimsy dies. So I like these little dies because it just adds this stitching right to your card and it just gives it a nice look, just some depth and dimension just by adding that little stitching. So for this particular card, I just used two different dies and just laid them next to each other to create this little stitching. And I'm going to show you how you can do it in landscape style or you can do it in the portrait style. So this one I did in the portrait style. So I just laid those little dies on there and added that to the front of my card. This one I'm going to do in this landscape style. And let's see. So the first thing, the kit came with some soft succulent uh, ink. So that's the ink that I'm going to be using for the projects. And the first thing I'm going to do is just add my little greeting on here. So I always use thank you cards. So I'm going with the thank you greeting, but there's a variety of different greetings that you can use. Then in this particular kit, there were some different leaf images and different die cut shapes. So all I did was just use the image where I could kind of stamp the veins on each of these leaves. So I saved some of these little leaves and we're just going to add them right to these little stitched frames that I created. So it's just a simple way to use these leftover leaves. And like I said, if you don't have this particular kit, I'm sure you have some kind of little leaf images or something that you could put into these little frames. So I just added those. And then for this particular card, I cut a larger piece of designer paper. This is 1 by 4¼ inches. And then for this one, I just cut a shorter one, not as wide. This is only 3/4 inches, so you can see the difference between the two. So I am going to add this. And since I'm changing the, from a portrait to landscape, I had to change some of the dimensions of my pieces. So, but it's the same concept. So we'll add this little piece here. And then, of course, I did my little paper tearing. So I have a little torn piece of paper here So to do the paper tearing, you just need a 1-inch wide piece and then just tear it in half. So I actually used a 1 by 4¼ inch piece and I tore it in half. So I used half here and half there. And that's how we do the landscape one. And then you can just go ahead and embellish it with, I used some little, I can't find them right now. Oh, here they are. I used some little brushed metallic adhesive dots and just added a couple of those to kind of make it look like a little binding here. So I'm going to do the same over here. Use some smaller ones. So these little brushed metallic dots are just really nice for fall themed cards. There's like copper and gold and then like a brushed silver. There we go. All right, so that's how easy those are. So if you have these leftover leaves, that's just a great way to use them up and create some fun little cards. And it's all, as you can see, it's all in the monochromatic color. So I only used one color to create the card I just showed you and to create this one. So this one, I decided to do something a little bit different and do a little bit of stamping in the background to create, to use my sentiment or my greeting to create the background. So what I did with this is that stamp off technique. So we're going to stamp the greeting. So let's get this set up here. So I'm going to stamp this greeting. And then without re-inking, I'm going to stamp it again. So it kind of gives you a dark and then a lighter version. And then we'll add one here. And so you can just kind of randomly go across your paper doing the stamp off technique, and it just gives you kind of a fun little background. And let's go right over here and down here. So pretty cool. So you can do that with any greeting that you have. And then I'm going to grab some paper here. Let me move this out of the way. I just need a little bit of scrap paper. So then what I did is I'm just going to use a blending brush, and I like to practice a little bit first just to get the hang of it. And I'm just going to add a little bit of color just to kind of bring out the greeting. So kind of accent it a little bit. Let's bring this back. So I just want a very subtle look in the background. So I don't want a ton of ink, but I like to just kind of slowly put this on so that I don't get any ink blotches. And these blending brushes are really nice for this. So I don't know if you can see that. It's just very subtle. So let's get this out of the way here. Bring back our card. So that's kind of the background. You can add as many or as few as you want of the stamped images. And then I just have a 3/4 inch wide and 4¼ inch long piece of designer paper. So this is the in color designer paper. So it's the 2021, the 2024 designer series paper pack. So it has all 5 in colors in it. So of course I'm just using the soft succulent. We'll just add this to the bottom. And then I just punched out a fun little shape using one of my punches out of some vellum. So we'll add this to the card, and we can just add our glue right to the card. Just kind of scoot that around. And then of course I'm using one of my leftover leaves just to add a little bit there. And then you can add, you know, your embellishments, and you can add a little bow, and that's all you have to do. Pretty easy. This would make a really great Christmas card too, just with a Christmas sentiment and then Christmas colors and just a little focal point there. So lots of ideas for using your greetings in the background on your cards. So that is the second one. And then this one, I decided to change from the monochromatic. So I used the soft succulent in the last two cards because that's the ink that came in the kit. But then I used some of my own ink and the images to create this particular card. So I will show you how to do that. So I'm using a variety of different colors. I have crushed curry and Cajun craze and pumpkin pie. And then of course I used just a little bit of the soft succulent in there. So for these cards, let's start with the crushed curry. We're gonna start by stamping. There's two different stamp images in this particular set. So there's just the solid image, and then there's the image where you can add the little detail inside the leaves, so the little veins inside the leaves. So I'm gonna just set this aside because we're gonna bring in some scrap paper. And we're going to practice with this first. So for this card, I just used one of those Stitched with Whimsy dies. And I just embossed that right into the card front. All right, let's see if I can get this to stamp good. There we go. We got one there. So basically, you're just going to go around and just add your images, stamp your images. And then you're going to, I like to put my images on the same block. Then you're going to flip this around and use the little veins here. That's what I'm using. And you're going to add the little veins to your leaves. So there's the first set. I had to clean these off. So there's two different leaves that were in this particular set. There's a lot of really great stamp sets, though. Like I said, if you don't have this set, there's a lot of great stamp sets that have leaves in them that are in our holiday catalog. So, and let's add a pumpkin pie one. Now for this, for the pumpkin pie one, this one is kind of dark, so I like to use the stamp off technique. I'm going to stamp off and then add the image, because then it lightens it up a little bit, because you can see how dark it is on the paper. And we'll just add our little veins. And then let's add our little Cajun craze. Same thing with the Cajun craze. So it's a very dark ink. So if you like that real deep dark color, you can add that. But otherwise, I like to do the stamp off so I get a little lighter color, especially when I'm adding these little veins. I'll add a couple of these. This will give you an idea. And we'll add another one over here. So it's kind of a fun little set. I like the little detail in this set. Of course, I like fall colors, so. All right. And then I'm going to add one more yellow one just to break it up. So we'll add this one down here. So again, you can use any sets you have and just create a fun little fall background on your card, just like that. And then we'll go ahead and add some of our embellishments. I'm going to close some of these ink pads up. Oh, I have to add my green too. So in this particular set, there was a nice little splotch image. I don't know what else to call it, a splotch. So we'll do the stamp off technique with that too. And then I just kind of filled it in on the card just to add a little bit of green. And we'll just add a little bit down there. All right, so let's get this scrap paper out of the way. So we'll bring back the card. So that's what the card looks like when it's finished. So I just took a little bit of some of the fine art. This is a fine art floral. It was with that particular suite in our last catalog. I just took a little bit of ribbon. You can use any ribbon. And just kind of folded this together to create this little embellishment here on the side. So you just kind of accordion fold it back and forth on top of each other. And then I like to add a little glue dot in here just to kind of hold this together. So just grab a little glue dot. And I'll add this one here. And then we'll just add one in the middle. And that'll just kind of hold it together. And so that will go on the card like that. And then this will go on. So let me add a glue dot. So I like using the glue dots. They hold the ribbon right where you want it. And they stick to your finger. There we go. All right, so we'll add that. So just folding your ribbon back and forth like that is just a nice way to use it and embellish your card. And then we'll just add our little greeting here. And then our little embellishments. So it looks complicated, but it's really not. As you can see, it's just some basic stamping in the background and just adding a couple little embellishments. Oh, and I forgot to add my little vellum, but that's okay. It looks nice with or without the vellum. So here's what the original card looks like. It's got the cute little vellum behind it, for sentiment, and just a fun way to use the leaves. All right, so that's the third card. And then this last card I want to show you, I won't go through the whole process of putting this card together, but I want to show you just kind of a fun little technique. So if you have some vellum, this is a little technique you can do with your vellum and with your stamping blends. So I like stamping blends, as you know, and there's lots of different ways to use them. So for this card, what I actually did is just took some stamping blends and just colored my vellum, just added a variety of color to the vellum. This was a great technique that I learned from one of my fellow demonstrators who showed us this technique at our meeting. So thank you, Ruth. So what I'm going to do is just use a variety of stamping blends. I'm going to start, I think, in the middle here. And I'm just going to color, just add some color. And then I'll just kind of work my way down. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. So I'm using the same colors like Cajun Craze. This one is actually Daffodil Delight because we don't have a crushed Curie color. And you're just going to add color to your vellum. And then actually I think I'm going to add a little bit of green in this one. So I'm using the soft succulent, so we'll add a little bit of green. And you don't have to be perfect. You can make it, you know, if you don't make it perfect, you're better off. Then it looks really nice once we get this together here. So I'm just going to add my pumpkin pie. So I'm using pumpkin pie, soft succulent, Cajun craze, and a little bit of daffodil delight. All right, so that's what my piece looks like. I'm going to bring a different, I'm going to bring something else in here. So now what I'm going to do is I have a little bit of rubbing alcohol that I put into a little spritzer. And I'm just going to spritz this on after I move everything. Let's practice here. There we go. So do you see the dots that are showing up on there? So basically what this does is it just adds kind of that that little alcohol. It's kind of like doing the alcohol technique with a paintbrush. You can do it with a paintbrush. You can do it with a spritzer, but it kind of takes that ink and just kind of spreads it out a little bit and gives you like a watercolor look. So I'm just going to move this out of the way here. And the nice thing about the spritzing with the alcohol is that, here, let's see, is that it evaporates. And so that's the design that you get in the, in your vellum. And then you can use this vellum on your card like I did here. So I have, a little bit of alcohol spritz here and here. I did a little stamping behind this one, but I'm not going to do stamping behind this one. So it's just kind of a fun way to use your stamping blends to create a really cool little background for your card. So that's what it would look like. And then you can just add the little embellishments and things to dress up your card. So pretty cute, pretty cool, right? I think it's pretty cool. So Ruth showed me that. That was pretty awesome. I think she didn't use the spritzer, I don't think. I think she used a paintbrush or something. So there you go. So these are the cards. I'm going to bring them back so you can see what they look like. So again, you can use whatever supplies you have on hand to create these cards. These are just fun little designs that you can use in your card making. So there you go. So I do have all these cards out on my blog. So I did link to that in the description with this video. So you can get all the dimensions for the paper and everything that I used on the card. So feel free to go out there and look at those and write down those dimensions if you missed them. So there you go, guys. I just wanted to show you some fun things to do with the kit. And if you don't have the kit, you can still use these card ideas with any supplies that you have on hand. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday and a great week. And I will talk to you again next week. Take care, everybody.